Okay guys, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Candace. I know it has been a hot minute since I made a video. That's mostly because I have been moving and I finally moved into my new place, but I really was trying to have that move be like super organized, so I basically spent all of November and like late October just packing and making sure everything was ready to go so that when the day came it was done and fast. And then after we moved I had to unpack everything, and that was a lot of work, so I haven't really had time for anything else. But I wanted to, now that I kind of have some time, I wanted to make a couple videos so that way I can join in on the fun on all the end of year videos that everybody does, and so I still need to finish that stupid series about the books that I read for my Goodreads challenge. I accidentally deleted part 2, so I have to refilm it, which is what this is, so hi again. So maybe eventually later I'll do like a little apartment tour when my place is a bit cleaner because it's kind of a mess right now. And then I just wanted to show you some things. I got some kittens. This is one of my kittens. Her name is Lyra. Hi, baby. She's playful and she wants down, don't you? That's Lyra. And this is Gigi, her brother, who doesn't want to be up right now either. Oh, baby. Just show everybody your cute little face. Stop it. Take it. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So those are my kittens. And the girl, fluffy one, is Lyra, and yes, her name is from the His Dark Materials trilogy, and Gigi is from the anime movie Kiki's Delivery Service. I've always wanted a little black cat named Gigi, so I'm really happy. They are about 4 months old, and they're brother and sister, even though they don't look it, but you can see it in their eyes actually that they're related. Fun fact, I don't know if you knew this, but a mom cat can mate with a lot of male cats, and then her litter will, like each baby might have a different dad. That's why litters often look completely different, because probably the mom mated with a bunch of different cats. So that's why they look different. Anyway, so I don't really have a good setup right now for filming, so this is just like propped up on my bookshelf. So bear with me in that regard, and then maybe in the future some of my videos will have my kittens, because they're cute and I like them, except for when they try and touch my face in the middle of the night. Stop it, Gigi. Anyway, alright, so in this video I'm going to talk about just a few series that I read during that 24 books Goodreads challenge. So the first one I separated out was just like random stuff that didn't fit in a category, and then this is like series, and then the last one will be like my favorites from that challenge. So let's get started because I've been talking long enough. So the first series that I read, sort of interspersed with other stuff, was the Lord of the Rings series, not including The Hobbit for this. I have read The Hobbit. I read it last year, so I think I read it before I started the challenge, but I did these first three, or the 3 books. I gave The Fellowship 4 stars, and then the last 2 5 stars each. I know a lot of people don't like the Two Towers as much, or from what I've heard, and same with the movie, they don't like the Two Towers as much, but I freaking love the Two Towers, so I don't get that. I think a lot of interesting stuff happens in there, and the best like character development happens in that one. Anyway, so kind of a weird situation with that series. I actually was supposed to read that series when I was in 8th grade because I was in this like advanced English class thing, and we read The Lord of the Rings, and I am a very forgetful person, and I kept losing my book, and it was one of those like big bind up books that had all 3 in them, and I kept losing it. Like, it just, I don't know. The first time, I think it was in the bottom of my disaster of a locker that I had in 8th grade, and I just couldn't find it. And then like another one, I took it on a field trip kind of thing that I went on for this after school program that I was in, and I left it in the van, and then I went back and they didn't have it. And so after the first time I lost it, I told my teacher, and it was quite expensive to replace. It was like, I feel like it was like $30, which or more, which like as an 8th grader is a lot of money. And the second time I lost it, I didn't want to tell him that I had lost it again because I was just really embarrassed. So I read most of the fellowship, but I didn't read any of the Two Towers. And I just like did my best on the tests, and I bombed all of them. And then finally I was like, oh, I can't do that because like I was a good student and my grade was not going to be great. So I finally told him, and I had to pay it again, and I got a 3rd book. And then like at the end of the year I found like 2 of them, and yeah, anyway. So I never properly read the series, and like also that was assigned, so I had time limits, and it's kind of a difficult book to read like on a time limit. So anyway, so I finally got to read it, I would say, for the first time properly, and it was great. It was really great. You know, the first part of the fellowship really drags, which is why I gave it 4 stars. I don't like hate Tom Bombadil, but I do think it's kind of an unnecessary part, and it just takes a really long time for them to like get to the adventure. But after that, it's great, and I don't know, I really liked it. I want to read the Silmarillion so I can kind of better understand all of the little things that they drop in there, but at the same time I really like reading a book that has a world that's so built up that there's like a bunch of stuff in there that's mentioned that you don't understand, but it just gives you the sense that this is a real people with a real culture that's really developed, and you're not going to understand all of it. And so I don't know, I kind of like that mystery element of it. So yeah, it was great. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because like it's Lord of the Rings. If you don't know what it's about, I don't know, go to IMDb. Anyway, next series was a reread for me, which is the first 3 books of the Temeraire series, which I have most of, and I've read a few more since then. I'm still not done with the series because there's so many books in this series. They're not that long, and they're a quick read, but it's basically like the Napoleonic Wars if there were dragons. And in the first one, which I gave 5 stars, this is called His Majesty's Dragon. I've seen it just called Temeraire. I don't know why that edition exists. I guess like, I don't know, His Majesty's Dragon was too vague. I don't know, but my version is called His Majesty's Dragon, which is the first one. And basically, William Lawrence is the main character. He is a captain in the Navy, and they capture a French ship. And when they capture it, they find out that there's this dragon egg on it, and the dragons are really important to the war effort. So someone has to become this dragon's companion, and that's kind of seen as like a lesser part of the military, like the aerial forces, is seen as like not as honorable, and so nobody really wants to do it. Part of that is that you, even more so than being a Navy officer, you have to completely give up any resemblance of a normal life because your dragon just like takes up so much of your time. So like basically to be in the aerial forces, you're giving up everything else for this dragon. So a lot of people don't want to do it. And so they draw lots, and someone else draws the lot, but because of circumstances, Lawrence ends up being the one who harnesses this dragon, and who he names Temeraire. And he's a boy, Temeraire is a boy. And so he has to join the aerial forces, and he has this really strong sense of national responsibilities, national duty, so he does it and tries not to complain. But you know, eventually he comes to really care for his dragon. It's like his most important companion, as what happens to every person who has a dragon. And it's really sweet. This is by Naomi Novik, who wrote the Uprooted and also Spinning Silver, I think is the name of that one. And this is so different than those books. Like if you didn't know the author, you'd think it was a completely different author. It reads a lot like Jane Austen, from what I've heard. I haven't read Jane Austen, but I've read a lot of classics. So it does kind of have like a classic way of writing to it, but it just, the characterization in this is so good. Every single character just has a really distinct voice, or you really get a sense of who they are, what their motivations are, what their priorities are. And my favorite thing is the way that she writes dragons, because they're intelligent and they can talk, but they very clearly have a different mentality than humans, which is really cool. Like you really get that idea of like, this is an intelligent being, but they think differently, and they have this really cute like naivety to them, and they just don't understand a lot of like our human rules that don't make sense to them. Like, why can't I just eat that cow? What do you mean it belongs to someone? It's a cow. That kind of thing. Anyway, it's really great. So this one's just sort of the first adventure training, getting into the like first Navy battle against Napoleon. This second one, Throne of Jade, I gave 4 stars. The beginning of this, like the first half of this book really drags. There's some interesting parts, but like for the most part it's really boring because they're on a ship and they're going to China for reasons. And once they're in China, it's a lot more interesting. But like the first half, they're just on the boat and it's kind of boring. But there's some sort of look. This is also when they were trying to get slavery abolished in England and like the colonies. So, you know, this deals a lot with sort of Timur discovering slavery and the shittiness of that. So that's cool. And then Black Powder War is the third one. And I gave this 5 stars, I think. And this one, they are coming back from China. They go through Turkey, I think, and they get some dragons. This isn't really spoilers. They just go to different parts of the world in every book to kind of show you what that situation was like in that time period in that country. So they go through Turkey, they get some dragons, and then they have to face Napoleon as he's sort of approaching England from the other side. So yeah, it's a really good series. I highly recommend it. If you like Naomi Novik, you should read it and be impressed by her range. And it's got dragons in it and they're cute, so I don't know what more you want. Anyway. Alright, so the last series I'm going to talk about in this video is called the Cemetery of Forgotten Books series. And the first book of that I did not read in 2019. I actually read it in 2018, like in December, so right before I read the second one. So I'm going to talk about that one briefly because it's the first book. But that book is Shadow of the Wind, and this is one of my favorite books of all time. It's perfect. There's nothing wrong with this book. It's 5 stars, 5, 6, 10 stars. It's amazing. You should go read it. It's really hard to synopsis. It's about a place called the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, which somebody has to bring you there, like an initiation kind of, into this secret place, and you get to pick a book, and it is your sworn duty to protect that book for the rest of your life. And the main character in this, whose name is Martine, I think, goes to the Cemetery of Forgotten Books. He picks out this book called The Shadow of the Wind by Julien Corot. I don't know, it's French and it has an X in it, so I don't know how to pronounce it, but anyway, I'm going to say Corot. And he discovers that everyone's really interested in his book because it's like one of the last Corot books left, because someone has been systematically burning all of the books. And so Martine sets out to find out why someone is burning all of these books, and he gets drawn into this really dangerous, complicated mystery that is just so good. The writing is amazing. It's so lyrical, but also really funny and also fast-paced. There's a character in here called Fermin who is hilarious, and he's my favorite. Some people don't like him because he's kind of much, but I love him. And it's just so good. And a lot of people don't realize that this is a series, and that's because you can read this book on its own and it's fine. It's not like a cliffhanger. You don't immediately know it's a series, but it is. So I love this book, and I read it at the end of 2018. And then I read the sequel for the first book in 2019. And the sequel is The Angel's Game. So The Angel's Game and The Shadow of the Wind, you can read either book in either order. I think that that's fine. The author says that you can read all of the books, there are 4, in any order. I disagree with the third and the fourth one. You need to read these 2 first. I don't care which order you read these in. This is also 5 stars, and this is also a perfect book. It is about a writer named David, or David, or I don't know. It's set in Spain during all of the like fascist Spanish wars and stuff. So there's a lot of crap going on, a lot of government interference, a lot of oppression. That's sort of the backdrop. And so this writer gets hired by a mysterious man who commissions him to write what is essentially like a religion. And it's a really messed up religion that like glorifies death and not evil, but just death more than anything. And mysterious things have happened to the writers who this guy has commissioned before. And so David goes sort of trying to figure out what he got himself into. And again, it's this like crazy mystery, and it's tied up in the Shadow of the Wind mystery. And so you get these cameos from other characters, and you're like, oh, I know who that is. And it's also really, really good. These two, it's hard for me to say which one I like better because I alternate, and they're just so good. So good. And yeah, so if you like mystery, if you like beautiful writing, definitely pick up these two. And then the third book in that series is called The Prisoner of Heaven, and it's a lot shorter than the other ones. And this one is about Fermin when he was a prisoner, because he did some stuff that the government didn't like, so they imprisoned him in this like really terrible place. And the guard, or like the main, I don't know, the guy who like controls that prison is real messed up. And David is there, so it's just like Fermin's recollections about what was going on during that time, and it kind of gives you backstory into that character. So this is definitely one that I think you need to read the first two first, because otherwise you don't know who David is, and you don't know who Fermin is, and you don't know why you should care about the fact that this stuff is going on. But the great part is it really deepens the mystery that started in the Angels game with David and like what he was going through, and it's really great. And then there is a fourth book, which I did read during that series, but I want to talk about it in my next video. So for now, this is going to be it. Thanks for watching my video in this weird sort of situation. Sorry about my hair. I just showered, and I got stuff to do, so I don't have time to like make sure it's dry before I do this, so because I'm busy today. But anyway, I hope you have a great day. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Comment. Tell me how your Thanksgiving was. Was it good? Mine was pretty mellow, but that was good because I worked so hard to get my apartment in order, and I was so sore, and I just wanted to sit and play video games and not do anything for a little while, so it was great. Anyway,